the buzzer, Sullivan. And the North Carolina Tar Heels are the ACC champions.
Macon for three, on target, and it's over. And Carolina advances to the Final Four.
Pete Chilcutt certainly had an outstanding senior season. We expected him to improve, but yet his rate of improvement perhaps reached its zenith this year. He was a tremendous rebounder for us. In addition to being our best defensive big man, we could count on him keeping the ball from going into the low post. I thought his defensive play was outstanding. He was named the top defensive player on our team by the coaching staff. He also is just improved physically. He was really more of a late bloomer, if you may use those terms, as far as physical maturity. And I think he'll continue to get better every year as he continues on in pro basketball. King Rice is a marvelous leader. It was demonstrated time and time again during his four-year period. King is a winner. I have always believed that his job was to get people at basketball, play great defense, and somehow get our team having more points than the other team. He certainly succeeded in all of those phases.
One and only one college basketball team has enjoyed a dominant national presence throughout the 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and now the 90s. 2 NCAA championships, 10 Final Fours, a record 17 straight NCAA tournament invitations, 11 consecutive Sweet 16, 12 ACC titles, and an unprecedented 21 straight seasons of 20 wins or more. As compelling as those numbers are, they tell only part of the Tar Heel basketball story. It starts right here before every home game. But to take the court wearing the famous Carolina blue and white is also to represent one of the country's elite universities, as well as one of the most successful athletic programs in the history of American sports. During the 1990-91 season, that amazing Tar Heel tradition continued. 29 victories against, as usual, one of the nation's toughest schedules. 3 tournament championships, including the ACC and NCAA East Regional titles, a final national ranking of number 4, and a return to the coveted Final Four. The trip to Indianapolis made Carolina the only school to reach the Final Four in each of the last 5 decades. The Tar Heels did it with the same exciting style that has made Carolina basketball a household word for a quarter of a century. Tenacious man-to-man defense, unselfish ball movement, high percentage shooting, up-tempo, fast-break basketball, genuine teamwork, sincere sportsmanship, and a lot of fun. On the court, in the stands, indeed, across all of North Carolina and the nation, it was a vintage year for Carolina basketball. Let's take a look.
Blessed with a roster full of talented but young players, Carolina opened the season with impressive home wins over San Diego State and Jacksonville, and then beat Iowa State for 3rd place in the Tournament of Champions at Charlotte, all the while experimenting with different combinations on the court. Heading into an important December stretch against 4 nationally ranked teams, a rotation was emerging around Carolina's 3 senior stalwarts, Pete Chilcutt, Rick Fox, and King Rice. In a season when all 3 would have dominant games, Chilcutt was the first to jump out. Beginning with the 79-64 win over Connecticut in the ACC Big East Challenge, he went 5 games shooting 70% from the floor while averaging 15 points and 9 rebounds. Fox led the scoring and the rally against the Huskies as the Tar Heels came from 7 down at halftime to record only the ACC's second win of the 8-game Big East Challenge. Chilcutt's steady play continued 4 days later against Kentucky in the battle of college basketball's 2 winningest programs. Chilcutt had a game-high 14 points and 10 rebounds, and it was his dunk off a wild fast break with Fox and Rice that put Carolina over the top. Here's how it sounded as the Smith Center crowd went wild.
No good. They knock it around. Palfrey recovers, went back up with it, slapped away, and finally Fox comes out of there with it for Carolina. Ball knocked away. Fox trying to save it. Dumps it to Rice, got it to Lynch, to Chilcutt. Carolina for the lead. 82-81. The Tar Heels lead for the first time tonight.
The 84-81 victory over the Wildcats was a springboard to Carolina's best game to date, a 16-point verdict against Alabama, in which Chilcutt dazzled the opponent from his home state with 22 points on 9 of 10 shooting and 8 rebounds. Lynch continued to assert himself on the boards, garnering 9 rebounds. And even freshman Clifford Rozier and Eric Montross got into the act. In what Carolina hoped would be its first of 2 trips to Indiana during the season, Chilcutt again had the best overall night at Purdue with 15 points and 8 rebounds. But this was Rick Fox's senior game, and he electrified his old Hoosier family and friends with 8 straight points in the second half that broke it open.
Denied. Chilcutt intercepted. Fox for 3. Oh. He is single-handedly beginning to put it away for North Carolina.
Carolina is one of the most televised teams in college basketball, and the Tar Heels game against DePaul in the Florida Citrus Bowl tournament was their 5th straight on national TV. All victories. Chilcutt was again the catalyst with 14 points and 11 rebounds. The next night against Stanford, the eventual NIT champion, it was Fox who picked up 20 points and the tournament MVP award following the 71-60 championship decision against the Cardinals. Carolina was getting great play from all of its veterans, but none better than the 6'10 Chilcutt, whose Carolina story is truly amazing. Redshirted as a freshman to add size and maturity, he progressed steadily to become a classic Carolina defender, rebounder, and inside scoring threat. And Chilcutt was at his best in the biggest games. In 21 games against eventual NCAA tournament teams, Chilcutt averaged 13.5 points and more than 7 rebounds while shooting 56% from the floor and 81% at the foul line. He also provided tough post defense against the opposition's best big man and averaged blocking at least 1 shot per game. Like his fellow seniors Fox and Rice, Chilcutt never missed a game at Carolina, playing in a school record 140 straight.
A lot of times last year and years before, I begged for days off for practice and, just trying to get a day off here and there just to rest up. But this year, I really, besides missing the game, I don't think I missed a practice. And that's something that a lot of players can look up to if they want to and realize that if you go out there every day, if he did it, they can do it and play hard and work hard every day. You're going to play eventually and you're going to get better.
A third-team All-ACC selection, Chilcutt played most of his senior year with the knowledge that his brother Michael was stationed with the Marines in the Persian Gulf. He showed remarkable focus and concentration. Pete Chilcutt, another in the long line of Carolina big men destined for a career in pro basketball. Following a swing through New York and one-sided wins at Cornell and over Notre Dame at the Meadowlands, Carolina was 11-1 and had climbed to 5th in the nation heading into the ACC regular season. The Tar Heels return home to face Maryland and give Coach Dean Smith his 700th career win behind Hubert Davis's career-high 25 points.
And I certainly thank guys that have played here. We've had some great ones, great people, and I'm privileged to have been their coach. And I know they're happy, but they added to those wins. Can you imagine Phil Ford saying, "Congratulations, Coach"? Can you imagine how many wins he helped through those 4 years and now coaching? So many people are involved. The assistant coaches have had a great group who've been very competent and very loyal. And the players have been loyal. You can't do a lot in the organization without loyalty, and I've certainly had that.
Carolina is traditionally the ACC's best road team, and the Tar Heels were able to stop a red-hot Virginia team in Charlottesville. It took 2 overtimes and clutch performances from all 3 seniors, but Carolina would not be denied. Trailing by 5 with 2 minutes left in regulation, Carolina rallied to force overtime on King Rice's driving score.
John Crotty right down the middle.
After John Crotty's heavenly 3-pointer forced a second overtime, Rice won the battle of point guards and the game with another dramatic one-on-one move.
In the second overtime, Rice works against Crotty. In the lane, puts up the shot, and it's good! It fell in! And Virginia's 8-game winning streak in overtime has come to an end, and the Tar Heels are celebrating on the playing floor. This is the first overtime win.
Following postponement of the NC State game due to the outset of Operation Desert Storm and a hard-fought loss at Duke, Carolina earned its second ACC road win at Wake Forest. With the Deacon defense sagging inside, Rice hit 5 3-pointers and matched his career high with 22 in the 91-81 win. He also added 7 assists, several to Rick Fox, who scored 20 second-half points. The game also marked the continued improvement of freshman center Eric Montross, whose 12 rebounds in 14 minutes keyed the Carolina defense. The Heels were atop the ACC on Super Sunday, and they look ready to stay there after wearing down Georgia Tech with a barrage of fast break baskets. But the Yellow Jackets rallied and hung on to win when Rick Fox's bucket just missed, beating the final buzzer.
And it was the right call.
It was a game Carolina let slip away, and Fox was determined not to let that happen again.
And after the Georgia Tech game, after we really became a good team, it kind of shocked us that we can't be complacent. Although we were beating a team, a good team by 16 points in the second half, we had to learn to take the game. We had to be able to be up by 16 and end up winning by 30.
Few players in Carolina history have combined the scoring, savvy, and defense that Fox displayed during his star-studded career. He finished 13th on both the all-time school scoring and assist list and was first in steals with 197. He was better than a 52% field goal shooter and 75% at the foul line. Playing on the perimeter, he also pulled down key rebounds, averaging more than 6.5 as a senior. In fact, Fox was the only ACC player last season to finish among the top 15 in scoring, rebounding, assist, field goal percentage, and free throw shooting. An obvious first-team all-conference selection. And remember, growing up in Nassau, Rick Fox didn't play organized basketball until he was 14. Fox had 26 points at Clemson and 6 3-pointers at NC State as Carolina split 2 ACC road games to end the first half of the conference season. The Tar Heels carried a 16-4 overall record into the ACC home stretch, beginning with the rescheduled NC State game at the Smith Center. 3 weeks earlier, an hour before the 9 p.m. tip-off on Wednesday, January 16th, Chancellors Paul Hardin and Larry Monteith had agreed to postpone the game in deference to the outbreak of war in the Persian Gulf. A stunned crowd left the Smith Center and headed home, thinking about more than basketball. The game was reset back-to-back with Carolina's visit to Raleigh, and what a difference one night made. Carolina bolted to a 10-0 lead after 3 minutes and was never seriously threatened in the 92-70 rout of the Wolfpack. Fox led 6 players in double figures as the Tar Heels shot 52% from the field and held State to 37%. The Heels continued their torrid shooting in the home rematch with Virginia, a 77-58 win sparked by Hubert Davis's 4 3-pointers and 19 points. Defense was key in this victory as Carolina held Bryant stiff Kenny Turner, and John Crotty to a combined 12 of 37 shooting. Carolina kept cooking in big wins against Wake Forest in the Smith Center, at Maryland, and back home against the Citadel, shooting better than 55% over the 3 games. Fox's 21 points and 9 rebounds kept Wake Forest at bay in a 15-point win. And his 19 points and 7 assists helped put Maryland away in the second half of that 12-point victory. Against the Citadel, Carolina blew out to a 14-0 lead, enabling the veterans to give way early to the freshmen. Brian Reese had 11 points on 5 of 6 shooting and 4 assists as the Tar Heels set a Smith Center scoring record with a 118-50 rout of the Bulldogs. The Tar Heels had also reached 20 wins for the 21st straight year and 24th of the last 25. Wow. A 16-point win over Clemson 5 days later provided 2 more records. Carolina became the first school in college basketball history to win 1,500 games. And the Tar Heels extended their perfect home record against the Tigers to 36-0. Carolina was itching for the rematch with Georgia Tech in Atlanta, where the Heels had not won since 1988. It turned out to be their best effort to that point of the season, sparked by a smothering defense that held Kenny Anderson and the Yellow Jackets to just over 30% shooting. George Lynch began his great late-season run in this game with 17 points and 12 rebounds. The win over Tech was vintage Carolina defense, a high-intensity, in-your-face attack that is geared to take the opponent out of its offense, deny the easy pass, force your man to the baseline, help your buddy from the weak side, belly up to the shooter, and hey, don't bring that stuff in here. Carolina has long set the standard for man-to-man defense in the ACC, and the 1990-91 season was no exception.
Allowing Hill and Davis, the 2 forwards. That was backcourt, wasn't it?
Looked like it touched the line. Doesn't matter now. Carolina gets it back.
That kind of defense rallied the Tar Heels from 19 points down in the home finale against Duke. And they were on the brink of victory when a couple of last-second three-pointers didn't fall.
Chilcutt will fire it off the back of the rim, but Fox is there.
He was trying to pray that shot in. Chilcutt's
As usual, senior day at the Smith Center provided an emotional farewell.
It's a family atmosphere. And, you know, I've been away from home since I was 14. You know, I've been an independent kind of person. I don't let anyone grow on me too much, and that is kind of a protective mechanism, I guess. Makes it easier for me to move on, but it's been hard to do that here. It's something that, you know, stems from yourself, that, you know, being around you guys, it's really touched me, and it's been a part of me that, well, you know, I'm not leaving. People say, well, you got to graduate and go on, but hey, you look for me in the off season or anywhere I'm around, I'll probably be here.
By finishing second in the ACC standings, Carolina kept its incredible streak going of placing 1, 2, or 3 for 27 straight years. During that span, every other team in the ACC has taken turns finishing last. The Tar Heels moved on to the ACC tournament, determined to prove they were even better than number 2. Revitalized Clemson was the first-round opponent, and Carolina used a key second-half spurt to cage the Tigers. After opening a big lead over Virginia in the semifinals, clutch three-pointers were needed from Rick Fox. And this one by King Rice with the shot clock running down.
7, 6, 5, 4. The penetration by Rice. He jumps, shoots, scores! Three-pointer, King Rice. That'll do it.
So the stage was set for yet another matchup with Duke, marking the third time in 4 years Carolina had met the Blue Devils in the tournament final. But after such close games in 1988 and 89, who would have predicted this one? Perhaps an omen came on the very first play.
Backdoor to Fox, up off the glass, no good. They crash the boards, knocked around. Fox comes back down with it, fall away in the lane is good, and he gets fouled. Carolina had 2 follow-ups off the offensive glass, and the foul has been called on Duke's Christian Leitner. It will be his first. It is the first team foul against the Blue Devils. And the first free ball of the game was won by Carolina.
As with dominant rebounding, the defensive tone was also set early. King Rice made Bobby Hurley pick up his dribble and then forced a bad pass that led to a Rick Fox layup.
So what I have to do more of, I have to get up on him the full length of the floor, make him worry about bringing the ball up the floor and knowing that I'm there. And then I think that he'll be thinking about that so much that he won't shoot as many threes. Because when he does, they get inside and they kill us.
Showing great patience on offense, George Lynch found Hubert Davis underneath for a layup. When Eric Montross followed Brian Reese's miss, the Tar Heels led 11-2 and had forced 5 Duke turnovers in the first 4 minutes. Lynch had a sensational stretch, beginning with this backdoor pass to Derek Phelps.
Nice job by Lynch to get over there and cut Hurley off. Boy, what a play by George Lynch.
Kubek open on the wing. Lynch got there quickly. Kubek leaves it short.
Now George Lynch trapped on one side, Bob, and went across the court to the other side to bother that shot.
And gets the lay-in. Mr. Hole Show.
Carolina owned the backboards against Duke. Rozier followed his own shot after a Chilcutt miss. And Davis buried another three-pointer off another fast break. The Tar Heels also blocked 4 Duke shots, like this one by Montross on Tony Lang that led to a Fox bank shot. How about this one by Henrik Rodel on Billy McCaffrey? And even Derek Phelps rejected one by Thomas Hill. Remember how Phelps saved the ball in this scramble and found Rodel, who was spotted up at the three-point line? Yes, Henrik, it sure did feel great. Brian Reese agreed after taking this pass from Phelps. That fist wasn't a tired signal. Montross's monster stuff gave Carolina a 14-point lead, and Rice's three-pointer from the wing opened up a 47-29 advantage. Then King blew by a dazed Duke defense and fed the trailing Fox for yet another score. Fox began the second half by holding off Thomas Hill and getting this beautiful low post feed from Davis. Then Rice drove and scored over Hurley. Fox's backdoor pass from Rice bumped the lead back to 18 points. And this Fox to Rice to Lynch fast break made it 20 and a Carolina blue day. This was senior day a week late as Chilcutt, Fox, and Rice put the final nails in the Duke coffin. Chilcutt dropped in this bank shot. Fox scored and exhorted the troops. And Rice took it right at Duke again. When tourney MVP Fox buried this last three-pointer, the Carolina celebration officially began. With the starters on the bench dancing up a storm, Matt Winstrom took care of business by blocking this Duke shot. At the other end, Kevin Salvadori caught this lob pass from Scott Cherry for a reverse layup and a final score of 96-74. The 22-point victory was the biggest blowout in an ACC tournament final since 1968, when Carolina beat NC State by 37 points. It also marked Dean Smith's 11th tournament title and the Tar Heels' second in the last 3 years. The victory gave Carolina a 25-5 record heading into the NCAA tournament, marking the 18th time in Coach Smith's 30 years that Carolina had won at least 25 games. No other school is even close. That 22-point massacre of Duke in the ACC Finals earned Carolina the top seed in the East Regional of the NCAA tournament, adding to a record of 17 straight appearances in the Big Dance and their 25th overall. Only UCLA and Kentucky have been in more NCAA tournaments. First stop was the Carrier Dome in Syracuse, where Carolina opened against Northeastern, champs of the North Atlantic Conference. Back cuts like this one by George Lynch helped beat the Huskies' quickness, And when Rick Fox connected from long range, the Tar Heels led by 19, and the outcome was no longer in doubt. Carolina won by 35. Meanwhile, Big East giant killer Villanova had beaten dangerous Princeton and was eager for a more up-tempo game against Carolina. Early on, play was rough, but the Tar Heels wouldn't take any lip from the Wildcats.
7 points for Woodard. Lynch, nice jumper.
Lynch, Montross,
Rice missing, Montross follows.
and Chilcutt began taking over the game.
Davis and Chilcutt, the alley-oop. Perfect pass from Rice.
But Villanova made one last run and cut Carolina's lead to 7. With a timeout, Dean Smith asked for more of the Heels' patented pressure defense. And they prevailed 84-69 to reach the Sweet 16 for the 11th straight year. Amazing.
The other way, Lynch gently rolls it over the iron.
The weekend at Syracuse was also a second homecoming for King Rice, whose official senior game was played earlier in the season at Cornell. But his family and hometown friends from Binghamton got to see firsthand just what an outstanding player and leader he had become. Blessed with uncommon physical strength for a point guard, Rice was able to keep defenders off of it. A big reason why he had the fewest turnovers per game of any ACC point guard, while ranking 3rd in assists. A dependable scorer, especially in the clutch, Rice had game winners throughout his career. Who can forget his buzzer beater against James Madison as a junior?
One leader goes at the buzzer. Basket count. Unbelievable.
Or his one-on-one buckets at Virginia.
Yes.
King Rice was always at his best in the big games. In 3 meetings with Duke last season, he had just 3 turnovers. Rice was perfect in the ACC tournament final with 12 points, 7 assists, and no turnovers. And would you believe this? Only Hubert Davis had a higher three-point shooting percentage among Tar Heels, who attempted 30 from outside 21 feet. A truly underrated floor leader, King Rice will also be remembered as one of the most intense competitors to ever play in Chapel Hill. Led by Rice, Rick Fox, and Pete Chilcutt, the Tar Heel basketball storm had grown into a full-fledged NCAA cyclone. Next, it blew into the Meadowlands for a first-ever meeting with Mid-American Conference champion Eastern Michigan. Steals by Rice and Fox paid off in easy transition baskets, and Rice buried a 3 just before halftime.
Rice scores the 3 at the buzzer.
Carolina kept pushing the ball into the center of the Eastern Michigan defense, where the Tar Heels could use their superior height and strength. It was a 5-point game when an elbow from Eastern Michigan's Carl Thomas dropped Eric Montross.
Elbow thrown by Carl Thomas. Dean Smith wants the call, but this was inadvertent.
That fired up the Tar Heels, who roared on to a 93-67 victory with a 15-0 run midway through the second half. Lynch and Chilcutt triggered the spurt with dominating play inside. Now just one win separated Carolina from returning to the Final Four. Against highly rated Temple in the East Final, the Tar Heels jumped out to a 10-point lead. The poker-faced Mark Macon made some incredible shots to bring the Owls back. Carolina had some great plays of its own, like this Fox save to Henrik Rodel for 3 points. With 8 minutes left, Hubert Davis gave Carolina a 61-53 lead. Then, with Temple hanging tough, Lynch scored on a slick pass from Rice. And look at this critical Lynch turnaround from the baseline with just 2 minutes to play. The final moments of the game belong to senior King Rice, who had the presence to tell his teammates to avoid a lane violation on his 4 clutch free throws. He knew he wouldn't miss. Then Macon finally did down the stretch.
Macon turning, fires a long shot, no good, off the rim. They battle for it, ball loose, clock is run out. Carolina is going to the Final Four. Macon, who had 31 points, misses the shot to tie. And the Tar Heels, for all of you who wondered since 1982 when Carolina was going to get back to the Final Four, this is the year.
Only 4 teams reached the most coveted weekend in college basketball, and Carolina reaffirmed its place as one of the nation's top programs. It was the Tar Heels' 10th trip overall and their 9th under Dean Smith. Only UCLA and John Wooden have more visits. Carolina's Dean of Coaches became the first man to take teams to the Final Four in 4 different decades. And Smith shares the lead in all-time NCAA tournament wins with Wooden at 47. Smith has coached in 21 NCAA tournaments, more than anyone in history, more than Rupp, Carnesecca, Tarkanian, and Wooden. For every NCAA tournament team except one, the season ends with a loss. For Carolina, it was bittersweet because the victor was Kansas and Roy Williams, one of the many former players and coaches under Dean Smith who have gone on to successful careers. That disappointment, plus the loss of a gifted senior class, cannot dim the bright future for Carolina. Hubert Davis, one of the most improved players in the country, returns as the senior leader, backed by George Lynch and 4 more of the Tar Heels' top 10 players from last season. That group will, no doubt, add to a rich and glorious tradition that already stands alone in the history of college basketball.